chat and the guys should share it for us. So that should be nice and easy. Okay, so we're live on Facebook. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. We're just going to have a quick wait to let everybody join the room. So as people start to join, please feel free to come in the room, say hello. Obviously, this is Nick. He's got fantastic. Is that a picture in the background, or is that your wallpaper?
No, man. This is a picture.
Okay,
this is a big picture from 1820 of the harbor, the old harbor here.
Ah, it looks fantastic. All sailing vessels, right?
Yes, all sailing vessels. And here, if you see, like it says London, Scotch. bringing a lot of Scotch here.
Makes sense. Hello to Newfoundland. So Ronnie's in Newfoundland. We've got Duarte in Coruche, the famous part of Portugal. With Marco, I believe, from Italy. Georgios from Greece, of course.
Yes.
Your Greek friends joined us today. So Red Dragon, hello. So we have currently 63 people from around the world, buddy. You must be an important guy.
I don't know.
Walter Pistorius, Amar, hello, Amar. Ahmed, hello. Yes, Duarte is definitely here. Okay, Duarte, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Also, Mark Crane just joined us from Bali. Hello, Mark. And then we can get that done. Okay. All right then, buddy. So it's 12 o'clock in the UK. It's 1 p.m. CET, and I guess it's 2 o'clock over there in Crete. So first, let's welcome everybody to the live today. Today, we're going to be talking to Nikolas. Nikolas is an SSI IT from Greece, but I'll let him explain a bit more about himself. And if you want to ask questions, please feel free to just write in the comments, and I'll put those to Nick as we go through. He's got a really exciting talk to us today, where he's going to talk a little bit about some of the project work he's done and some of the scientific work he's done. So, Nick, would you like to introduce yourself, your name, your age, what's your day job, and where's home?
Yes, of course. So, hello to everybody. Welcome, and thank you for the honor that you do to watch our talk. And my name is Nikolas Giannoulakis. Originally, I was born in Athens, Greece. I grew up until 14 years old there, and then we moved into my special country in Crete, island of Crete. And almost all my life since then, I live here, a part of few years that I was traveling around and moving to Athens for studying. But mostly I live here, and here I operate a dive center. And I have my family also. I've got 3 children who I spend a lot of time with. Adam knows about it. And mainly I dive. I dive a lot, and I dive in different kinds of diving, either for work or fun. And I'm very happy that I can do that a lot of time of my life.
So can you tell me then, Nick, when did you start diving as a diver, and then when did you decide that it became an idea to make money from diving and become a professional?
Well, I started diving since I started with free diving, first of all, since very, very young age. I was a big trouble to my parents when we were going to the beach without a mask. So I needed a mask to have always in the time that we're spending in the sea. So since I remember myself, I was always underwater, and I started with free diving. I spent quite some years into free diving because it's just easier and with less gear. And 21 years old, I start scuba diving. So when I start scuba diving, I immediately understood and felt how that this is what I want to do with diving. I mean, being underwater for longer period of time. And 22 years old, I was open water instructor. So in time of 1 year, I was dedicated completely to scuba diving. and I did my career onto that. Since then, I started working as a scuba diving, open water scuba diving instructor, and later on as a technical instructor and so on.
Okay, fantastic. So you started really early, so you knew diving was for you right away. What
Yes.
kind of diving do you like to do for fun? So if it's your day off and you know the world was open, where would you go for fun diving?
Well, I would love to go in any kind of diving that includes CCR. I love CCR, rebreather diving, and I love to go either wreck diving, explore open water dive sites also, either cave diving or any kind of diving in the world. I think that I would choose to stay here. It's just because I love diving here, and it's so much to explore. And for me, it's a passion diving, but especially diving in Greece.
Okay, so tell me a little bit. Obviously, your home is Crete and your dive center is Hangia diving. What is the diving like there for divers who could travel there? What kind of diving can we do? Can we do wreck diving,
Yes.
caverns? Tell me a little bit.
Yes, the most important part of diving here in Crete is topography diving. Like we have great gorges, canyons, caverns, and some caves. For people that are interested for cave diving, we have caves, and we know that we have some big caves around here, but not an explored cave system yet. So I'm saying yet because I'm pretty sure that there exist some cave systems around here, but we don't know how accessible are and all that. So it's project for the future. Then for the recreational diving, it's incredible cavern. Do you allow me to show you some pictures?
Please show us. Yeah, show us some pictures from where you live.
Yeah, so I can show you some pictures from diving here, just one or two, to have an idea. So here you see a cavern. Wow. This is a cavern, which is something like 10 minutes by boat from my dive center, and it's pretty big. You see some stalagmites inside there, and a big opening inside here. Pretty good visibility. And this is only a picture. This is a huge area, about maybe 50 meters diameter. It's really, really nice. Then let's see, here also is another recreational cave also. This one, it's really easy. Entrance here is like maximum 7 meters depth, and the ceiling is something like maybe 4 meters to enter inside there. So after a short swim, you get into that incredible chamber.
So they're fantastic looking caves, and I guess they're all daylight zones. So even for entry level cavern divers, you know, it's shallow enough and limited penetration inside the daylight zone. So it looks fantastic.
You have plenty of natural light inside there. So it's cavern diving, and you got an idea roughly about the diving there. Like also this one. You see the background here of the daylight and the diver coming in and out of the cavern, and some kind of smaller, chambers that you can surface there, but all pretty easy for everybody. In general, we have, of course, open water dives, and there is some marine life, Mediterranean marine life. So Mediterranean is a pretty underestimated sea for the marine life. If you have your eyes open and you dive around, you will see a lot of things, but it's not like a tropical place. So you will not see, the big stuff coming easily. It has great visibility. The water temperature is pretty good. We start something like April now to May, it's something like 20 Celsius. And end of September, October, it's 26 Celsius, which is pretty cool temperature. And in the winter, it's not dropping lower than 15.
Okay.
So for technical diving, dry suits, it's easy.
Nice, easy diving, keeps you cool in the water and nice and warm out. So it sounds perfect.
Yep.
So because you've got this fantastic access to water and so many islands around there, it was natural you're going to be involved in some archaeological work, especially with the history of Greece.
Yes.
I believe, we're going to talk a little bit today about the Antikythera project you were involved in. Would you like to tell me, how you got involved in it and what the project's about? I know the Antikythera mechanism is that you consider to be the world's oldest computer as such, but maybe you can tell the guys a little bit about it.
Well, I will start also with some pictures, and before I start with that, everybody knows the Antikythera mechanism, and everybody believes that Antikythera is the name of the mechanism, but maybe they don't know why. So I will show you a little bit of that now. So Antikythera, it's a very, very tiny island that is, give me 1 second to find the correct picture here somewhere.
No worries. I was really surprised to find out that it was actually an island. I believe it was the name of the ship that maybe that was lost there, or the name of the guy who owned the mechanism. But it turns out,
it's incredible because it's a tiny island, and I will show you right now where it is, so you understand also the size, but also the position of the island.
Super.
And here it is. So Antikythera Island is a tiny island. Here we are, Earth, and while we're moving closer, and we go closer to Mediterranean, and then later on to see Greece and Crete. Here is where I am, and here where the arrow is the tiny island of Antikythera, and it's pretty much exposed in the middle of nowhere. And as you go closer, you see a dry island, pretty dry, with just few houses around here, and that's it. It has something like 20 permanent people on this island, so it's pretty small. And when we go there for the expeditions, usually the number of our team is more than the people that live on the island.
So you double or triple the population every time you arrive for a project.
Yeah. For that reason, we need to bring with us a part of the dive gear and the gear that we need for the expedition. We need also to bring the normal things that you need, like cutlery and maybe glasses and of course the food and stuff, everything.
So you have to bring tables and chairs.
Everything.
Nothing available on the
chairs,
island,
refrigerators, ovens, things like that. So it's a lot of gear that a lot of amount of things that they need to go here and come back. So I will start also my presentation here. You see that?
Ah, yes, super. Yeah, it's the picture of the island and the lighthouse.
Yes, that's a picture of the island. So you see the island it's small and pretty wide, like vertical cliffs. Here you see the lighthouse. The lighthouse is something like 20 meters high, and you can understand and calculate the how big is the cliff here. So all the island you see, it's pretty much something like that, very vertical cliff. And the same thing that you see outside of the water, it's inside the water also. So near the coastline, you have great depths. Easily, like 10 meters away from the cliff, 50 meters deep. 50 meters away from the cliff, 120 meters deep. So it has a lot of depth. On the island then, it's pretty dry. Here you see a small street on the island. Most of the streets are like this on the island. And very small amount of houses near to the port in Potamos, in the small port where the ferry is coming. And that's it pretty much. There are a few houses over there and here on the island, but not much. Here is Camarella. Camarella, it's coming from this arch here, the name, and is one of the places that you can go swimming if you manage to climb down here. So it's a great visibility in the area, really nice water. When it's getting windy, it's nasty. It's because it's in the middle of nowhere, the wind there, it's developed a pretty big swell, and it's coming on the island hard.
And
so
the weather always hits the island from the same side. It generally comes into
no, it could be different directions every day, or even in the same day could switch sides.
So if it's windy, diving's off.
Yeah, it's tricky. If now in our days we have, you know, the weather, we can predict somehow the direction of the wind at least, and the force. So you are kind of you have an advantage, but in general it's pretty difficult. That's why we had the long periods of planned time on the island to manage to get the 1/3 for diving days of that period.
So what did you do on your days off? If you planned 3 weeks for 1 week's diving, that means you had 2 weeks.
Well, we knew that after the first expeditions there, we knew what is going on. So we had organized the schedule in a way that the days that we can't dive, we have things to do. So it's a lot of preparation out of the water, and especially after the first days that you need to do preparation for the next days of the gear, like preparing gear, special gear like metal detectors or umbilicals for the pump, for the oil pump, or things like that. We always needed to do stuff there. So we arranged the schedule in a way that at the very good days with the good weather, we dive. And the days that we cannot dive, we take care of the things that we should take care anyways. And that worked pretty well in most of the times. So it is a very nice, outcome at the end. And we're spending some very productive time on the island. Then here we see some of the older buildings that like 100 or 200 years old on the island. This is a very good opportunity for the visitor there. If you have some time, also we had days off, so also I could walk around and take a few pictures of the place around, because here you have kind of an open museum. So you go and walk the island around, and you find those things that normally in other places of Greece existed in the past, but because the modern cities that they have built around or over on top of that, you don't see it anymore. Here, it's no development. So you walk around and you see places like this, or like this, that was an old mill, or this, and a very old house that at some point later on they tried to restore it and make it more modern, but of course the owner later on went away, and the house it stayed like this. And how people was living even in Greece even 50-60 years ago, and that's an oven.
So there's electricity on the island now. They generate electricity by
things like that are, it is. They have a huge generator there to give power to the island, and it's somewhere here, the generator. So this is all the amount of the island of the most of the houses that you see around here. There are few houses up there, but very, very little. So I described you an island that is kind of over rock, very isolated, but the truth is that most of the time, like more than half of the year, it's like this. Sunny, clear water and very good visibility also, but it's very relaxing too. So now you have an idea about the island of Antikythera, and the name Antikythera, it came from the island, the mechanism of Antikythera. So now we have an idea about why this mechanism is called like this. So the mechanism, that's the reason that we were talking about this expedition. For whoever doesn't know what it is, can easily find on the internet a ton of information. I cannot really explain everything, or not even half of that in the time that we have. But whoever wants to know more can find easily on the internet. The mechanism, roughly, it was like a mechanism with gears, wheels inside, 126, if I remember correct the number, that it had on it the 7 known planets at that time. And at that time, we talk about over 2,000 years ago. With the lever, when those gears were moving, the gears were moving and moving the planets at the position that it should be in the correct time, in every time. And that's why it was named as the first computer on Earth, because it could predict the position of the planets at any time. Additionally on that, it had on it some dates of major events of the Greeks at the time, like Olympic Games, Corinthian Games, and things like that. And also could predict all the eclipses. So imagine the power of somebody who can predict the eclipses at the time, like when the world is going to be dark.
They must be like a god. It's one incredible
Yes.
Instrument that can just tell you, astronomical instrument that can tell you what's going off in the world and predict it. They must have thought it was really, whoever made this was a real magician.
Yes, it was a real magician, not only because of the idea of that, but imagine how much effort and knowledge it needs for somebody to build that 2,000 years ago. The tiny gears that could be from few centimeters to some millimeters, and combine that all together and give that result. So here is a replica of how the people that are studying the mechanism could look. Okay. Not of course with the plexiglass or the glass. It was wooden and metal, but here it's just a replica to somehow given a better image of the mechanism. Now, how I got involved on that? I got involved on that from my good friend that we can see also here in the picture, Alexander Sotiriou, who was always giving me orders what to do and where to go.
I haven't got somebody like that.
So when I got the proposal to take part of that expedition, because the expedition it was happening already a year, I think, before I got involved, and or two maybe. And to be honest, I didn't even ask what will be my part on that. If I just carry gear or cook, or take me as a photo model, I didn't care. So I just wanted to be involved in such a thing, and I was happy to go there. So I was arriving there usually with my boat that I use also for the dive center, one of the boats that we have here, and Nikolas and Antikythera from Crete. With my boat, it's something like 3 hours. So taking the boat together with my good friend Michalis here, the captain, because when I was underwater, somebody had to be on the boat and deal with everything, and going to Antikythera. Then the rest of the team was coming either by ferry or usually by ferry, because It's not really any airport there. It's a helicopter port there that a helicopter can land, but not airport. Then either by other boats from Crete, either I was bringing some people with my boats from Crete, or other people was coming with ferry from Athens. With the ferry was coming also all the supplies that we needed for the expedition there. So practically here, this amount of the gear, it's our gear. And here on the down left corner, you see the two boats, mine and the Poseidon, Alexander's here, that we're using for the expedition. Then, of course, with all this gear, we will need to deal with it and carry a lot of work, a lot of carrying here and there, sweat under the 40 Celsius of the Greek sun. But with normal gear, but also some strange gear. This is a piece of the metal detector that we're using that was developed specifically for that mission here. And
it's huge. Was it towed behind a boat, or was it moved by divers?
No, man. This you need to see me working with this underwater. It needs a lot of skills. That's why later on we changed the design and we made it a little bit simpler, because you really needed to fly it underwater.
Okay.
So it was not easy. It was working, but was not easy. So later on we changed that in a different design.
Okay.
Of course, all the gases that we need to prepare, helium and oxygen. As I said, it was a remote area. We needed to work with whatever we had. We didn't have luxury stuff and things like that. We had to work with whatever is around. All gases and everything, of course, were coming from Athens, and we had to calculate everything in order, because it was not easy to bring something if it's missing.
So the
So
ferry came once a week, or
the ferry was coming once a day, but it was coming from different directions, because it was coming from Athens, Antikythera, and then Crete, and then was coming next day from Crete to Antikythera, to Athens, and that's going on. So you needed, if you need something from Athens, you need at least 2 days, and maybe the ferry was not coming at the correct day, or how it was complicated to bring something there. Then diving was using mostly rebreathers. Yes, me, always very happy when I'm jumping in that water there.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like difficult diving that day.
Yeah, no. It was, no matter how difficult it was the diving, I'm always super excited. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't know, if I'm gonna be 3 hours, 4 hours in the water, don't mind. I'm gonna be happy. And we're mostly diving CCR. We had a couple of divers of open circuit. From the gases that you saw before, approximately half of that were used for the open circuit. The 10% of the whole gases that we had there was divided between 6 CCR divers. So you can understand the differences in the gas demand.
Yeah, from a logistical point of view, the CCR really starts to make sense then, doesn't it? Especially when you've got to bring huge quantities of open circuit gas volume to a remote location. With the CCR, you reduce that down enormously. Exactly,
and you reduce also the logistic, also the money, but also the time that you spend for fillings. I was doing all the fillings, and I could prepare all the CCR tanks in 30 minutes. Compared to the 2 open circuit systems that was taking me 2.5 hours with the decompression and everything, and the small compressors there. So you can have an idea. Then diving itself, it's brilliant, and descent into a blue water and with visibility that sometimes I can tell you that I remember a dive that I was decompressing at 6 meters deep, and I could see feel that was taking a video of AUV that was there at 50 meters.
Wow.
So incredible visibilities, some days there, incredible visibilities. And then you were going down to the bottom. Down to the bottom that honestly, it's a life experience to dive in places like that with so much history and be able to work with scientists and archaeologists in a way that they open your eyes and you see these dive sites, but not only the dive sites, but the whole thing of diving and being underwater with a different eye, with a different perspective. So for me, being involved in such expeditions, it was like putting me in a dark room, and I was holding just a candle, and suddenly a big light turned on, and then I can see everything. So it's amazing. It's amazing how incredible it is to work in these expeditions, and the finds that you will have, and also the feelings that you get from that work. And when you find new stuff, you know, you never know what is going to come up. And one of the most exciting moments for me was when we had the first, human remains. The osseous remains here, a skull and femur and some pieces of the skeleton. A skeleton that was over 2,000 years old. So this poor person lived on 2,000 years ago on a ship that ended up sinking in that island and stayed there for more than 2,000 years. So if somebody wants to roughly understand the number of 2,000 years old, so you know Jesus, you know all the story about Jesus, so that person lived before that. So 2,000 years old is a long time.
Yeah. And this was buried deep under the silt, or do you think from
yes,
it's been the way the waves hit the island, or is it kind of you had to uncover a lot to find 2,000 years down?
No, it is the best to explain that is an archaeologist, but roughly I can explain it also to get an idea. Is the first stratum that you have on the surface of the seabed is the dynamic stratum. It's the one that it's moving because of the weather conditions, the tides or the wind or waves. So that depends how thick is that, depends of many things, the position, where is that, if there is a lot of current, if it's inside a bay that doesn't have really, it works like a trap for the mud, or if it's muddy, if it's rocky, for many things. But roughly in the specific area, the dynamic stratum is approximately about maybe 10 centimeters. Below that, it starts, and you can see that while you're digging, you can see a different feeling of and a different composition of the seabed, that it's more stable, and it gets also hypoxic. So you don't have organisms, you don't have live things, and also it varies where you find that kind of things. Deeper you go, more you find. The skeleton, if I remember well, was discovered something like 30 centimeters below the surface. So you don't need to dig deep, but it's not easy, especially when this is at 55 meters deep. And you need to dig also very carefully, and because this is very fragile. Also, if you, it's absolutely important to keep everything like you find it.
Yes.
First, photograph it, document it, make it, really make a really solid record of that, and then move forward. Because at some point you will need to remove that to continue further, and you don't want to destroy the information that it is there. So in these cases, we needed always to have with us some PhD archaeologists, some science that will do all that stuff. Of course, we were there to help. Maybe shoot pictures or keep the lights or shoot a video or something like that, or even remove sand from some areas. But always some archaeologist was doing that job.
That makes sense, because I'm always worried if I was involved in a project like this, that I would just be sucking everything up and go, no, this is a rock, this is a rock, this is a rock.
Yeah.
Find out later it was super important. So it's a good job they let somebody else in control, I guess.
No, and believe me, Adam, you're learning. If you get involved in such a situation, you will learn from the archaeologists. At some point, you will be able to recognize things that you didn't expect that you will recognize. So you gain a lot of knowledge of things like that. So part of the small things, we had also to move big things. And this picture is from last year that we had this big ship there to help us with the crane, because we needed to bring up big boxes with finds from previous years, and we needed a crane for that, and that's what we did last year. Also using equipment in new ways, like pulling things on the surface with different techniques.
It's a strange version of side mount you've got going off there, buddy.
Yes. You do whatever you can in some cases,
Quick question for you. So Kevin asks, what's your favorite piece of gear and why?
Well, I think my favorite piece of gear it's my rebreather, and I love my rebreather. It gives me the opportunity and the possibility to dive places that it wouldn't be other way to do it. Then on top of that, there are coming a lot of other toys like scooters and cameras and things like that. Like, You don't need to say what is my favorite.
You don't need to sit on the fence so much, Nick. I know you've got a couple rebreathers, but what's in your cupboard at the moment? Which rebreathers are you diving right now?
I dive the SF2 and the Prism.
Okay,
the Prism
super.
2.
So they're your toys at the moment.
Yes. And after diving a long time, very hungry, and usually with a nice round shape on our face, we're going to have our food and rest, and then prepare for the next day. But always was great time meeting friends, meeting people that you're sharing those experience, and really at these expeditions, there are days and moments that they stick with you, and they are just staying in your mind for all your life. And for me, it was a great pleasure to take part of that missions there, because also I had the opportunity to get my name in the list of these people that they worked and they lived something in history.
Yes.
In history, like this museum, this is in National Museum in Athens, and those are all artifacts that they came out of the Antikythera shipwreck. So most of the people knows only the mechanism, but the mechanism is amazing thing. And under the mechanism shadow are a lot of other amazing things also, amazing in the world. Like those sculptures are all from Antikythera shipwreck, and a lot of other sculptures too. there. And the thing is that there are a lot more to discover in that shipwreck. And this is what we plan to do, I don't know if I'm part of that in the future or it's going to happen, but definitely somebody needs to do it.
Okay. And so you spend a lot of time normally with these surveys. How long has the Antikythera survey been going on now? And do you know how long do you think into the future do you think it will take before you've recovered everything that can be recovered?
Well, I don't know exactly what is going to happen later on. I know that until last year, last time we were in 1920 there, and last 2019 there in last September, October. Now I don't know what the ministry will do and everything. It's complicated, together with also the coronavirus thing and everything. It's like, I don't know when it's going to happen, the next one, if, etc., etc.
So how many years have they been surveying it so far?
My first time there was 2014, and some years were single expedition, sometimes was double expedition. So sometimes we were only September, sometimes we were May and September.
So pretty much once or twice a month for the last kind of 6 years.
A year, yes, once or twice a year for the last 6 years, yes.
Okay, wow, and there's still, you think there's plenty to be found on the bottom as well.
Definitely. Definitely. It is. Sometimes it's sometimes. I've been told, all those things from archaeologists. I didn't came from my head, or I'm not, I didn't study this thing, but from my experience with the archaeologists, I learned, and they told me also that sometimes, and I agree, sometimes we should stop what we're doing if we don't have the correct tools and knowledge to work with it in order not to destroy it. And leave the time pass, so maybe new technology or new techniques will come and help us to work with and extract the new information out of the area that we're looking for. So for now, I believe there are still things that we can do. But this is only my opinion, and there is a lot of other things that they need to be.
And as technology develops, I guess we'll be better at finding and recovering these things. So maybe in the future there might be a lot of chance to go back. So you seem to have a very big passion for scientific diving now. Is that something you want to pursue further? And what projects would you like to work on, or are you currently planning to work on?
Yes. I like scientific diving. I like to dive and do things underwater, like measurements and taking samples and studying the seabed, marine life, or geology, or things like that. So what I believe is that there is room for into the diving industry to develop some kind of courses like this. Either something that as a not scientist can take as a diver, that will just open your mind around this science or those sciences, and or as a scientist that wants to be a diver and need proper training, because so far, at least in Greece, I don't know about other places, but I believe also other places, the way that it works is like the institutions that work with scientific diving, they get the scientists, they get the basic training from the agencies, and then they're going back and they're getting trained on the field for their skills. This consumes a big amount of time to the other scientists in order to train the new scientists. So I believe that that exists a room there for travel agencies or travel agency to develop a course and techniques that will be applied for scientists.
So like a speciality that starts with, you know, to do science underwater. Yeah.
Yes, kind of a speciality that will have basic things that will apply in most of the environments.
I see.
And so the whatever institution will work with the specific scientist will need only to get the scientist exposed into the local environment or the specific conditions that they are at that place, not to everything.
I'm with you. I see.
And develop skills for the diver also, like to how you will use that equipment safely in order to be able to share gas with the rest of the team, in order to do such things. Yeah.
I understand. And so what advice would you give somebody who's listening and maybe they want to get into scientific diving? What kind of courses would you suggest that they do, or what kind of training would they do, or how should they progress their diving, and who should they kind of get involved with? Because it's not, you know, I've not really seen a website before where you can go and put your hand up and say, I want to be a scientific diver. So how would you suggest somebody could get involved?
Yes. First of all, to be able to understand what you see underwater, you need some knowledge. Everybody, the easiest way nowadays is to start with just reading about geology or biology or whatever you're interested for, and just make excited your mind. So first of all, you start reading. Then when you go in the water, you need to be able to apply this knowledge and calm, see what you see around and understand it. To be able to do that, you need good diving techniques. If you're thinking about how you dive, about your buoyancy and about your gear and about everything, you cannot do that. So first you need to know, and then you need good diving skills underwater. Then when you have those, you just expose yourself to the environment and allow to the environment to give you new information also. So you need to either go to the local dive sites and look for that, or travel to some different dive sites that will give you new information. Now, to me, it has, you know, a lot of people is telling me what I'm gonna see in Greece, what kind of fish, and do you have corals and things like that. And I'm saying, look, guys, there are so many things to look underwater, and each place have different things to see to see and show you. So you don't need to go everywhere and look for the same thing, fish or marine life, big stuff. Go to the place and allow to the environment to give you the new information.
I see.
Okay, don't fix your brain into a specific thing and stay there.
And you know, people can do some kind of, you know, citizen science for themselves, get involved in projects online, maybe reporting on local dive sites, and start to take measurements. Maybe they can take salinity measurements of their local environment on a regular basis. And when you start to generate data by having, you know, repetitive measurements over time, then that data becomes more and more important. So I guess they could do little bits themselves. But do you see that people need to be on a rebreather? One of the things I learned from media and scientific diving that I've done myself is sometimes you could be snorkeling, sometimes you could be free diving, and sometimes you could be, you know, 130 meters on a rebreather. So a little bit in between. But so do you need a wide range of skills like that, do you think?
Yes, definitely. It's not you need it, but it's better to have it. For me, I've been, like you said, I've been snorkeling, looking in half-meter of water things, just free diving because it was easier and easier to access in a very rocky area and difficult for heavy gear, or diving rebreathers really deep. So you need a variety of skills to do that. And you can limit your activity according to your skills. But imagine that if you expand your skills, you will expand also what you can do.
Okay, so really good skills. I know obviously with the Antikythera project, you were gas blending and you were skippering the boat, and of course
exactly.
being strong and being able to carry things, I guess, helps.
Yes.
But if you're not, what else can you learn that would help you with this kind of project work?
Well, come again with the last question.
Yeah, no worries. So obviously, you were helping with gas blending, so gas blender might be a good thing to do.
That I
And
got it.
what other courses do you think would be a good idea to kind of get you ready for this kind of project work?
DPV, it's definitely a good course to take. Of course, the CCR we said. Gas blending, definitely. It's something that in a team, everybody needs everybody needs an extra blender. Yes. At some point somebody is tired, at some point somebody needs to do something else. Always a gas blender is useful.
I always found on these expeditions that the compressor engineer, somebody who has a compressor maintenance background, or maybe a boat engine maintenance background, they're always super important as well, right?
Yes. My captain Michalis, we saw before, he is a marine engine engineer for marine engines. So it was always there, and always a motor had some problem, or a small generator had some problem, and also we needed some mechanic to fix things there. So general knowledge about the boats and skipping the boat and blending gases, fixing repair equipment, like simple equipment like regulators and stuff, up to rebreathers. So all this knowledge is super useful. All the technology that now we can use, like computers and mobiles and all that stuff, all different softwares like photogrammetry, be able to use proper cameras and lights and make proper videos and pictures. And this is super useful in those situations. Like you can build. I will show you a little bit here. Quick fixes if I have it here somewhere.
No worries.
Not sure. Where is it?
And so yes, for your new projects, you told me you're going to be surveying some of the caverns around your local area, trying to get an idea of the shape, size, and length of these caverns around you. Do you plan to be involved in any other groundbreaking projects like the Antikythera, or have you kind of trying to do more local science now?
For now, I have time, and I'm focused on the local thing. So there is some caves that I want to explore, and that I have located last year, and I want to find the time to explore. And some there in the sea, some are freshwater up to the mountains, and because I really believe that in Crete there is a lot of caves and maybe some nice cave system, maybe not that easy accessible and everything, but for me to go travel somewhere and go diving, for example, to go to cenotes in Mexico is brilliant, and I really love to do it. But since I'm here and there is so much water around me, why not to explore here? And I would love to do that. So I don't know. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So here is a 3D model of a small cavern that I have here. We have here in Crete that I did. This is photogrammetry. So you can dive it like this, dry diving, and you can move inside. So you see the details on the walls here, the sponges and and the kind of the rock. Here is an opening on the top that we have plenty of light, and then you can move further in, and you see technology is amazing and giving us incredible tools to work with and make.
Was this photogrammetry done with video or with photo?
Photo. This
photo.
is all photos. That's why it's also quite nice lighting around evenly. Otherwise, it will be dark in few places here and there, or darker. And this is we have also shadows here. You see, you have kind of shadows, and then more light here or less light there.
No, the photogrammetry model looks fantastic and a really great tool to give you an idea, especially if you've got to do some science there later, just what the environment you're diving in looks like, and you can pre-plan it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's amazing tool, and it's hard to use it into caves, but it is possible, and I love using it into the archaeological sites. That it's a little bit easier too.
Okay, Nick, thank you so much for your time today. We look forward to seeing more, courses from you in the future to do with scientific diving, and we'll be looking out for you on Facebook for more updates about the interesting diving that you're doing over there in Crete. Thank you for your time. We've had quite a lot of people on board today who've come in and listened to your talk. So thank you very much.
You are very welcome, guys. Thank you very much for the time you spent with me and honor me. And hope we have great new stuff coming in general into diving.
Thank you, buddy. See you later.